Well, I don't want to just keep sending up the drone day after day showing you this boring cloudy weather, so dug back through the archives and thought you'd enjoy that nice storm there. Across the southwestern U.S. today, it's kind of the calm before the storm. Now we do see a little bit of a counterclockwise circulation along the Arizona-California border. No real evidence of a front. However, it looks like there is something going on south of California. Looking at the water vapor imagery, there it is. Looks like a baroclinic system, pretty classic. There it is. And off to the west, I can see a cold core low right there in the San Diego area. So this tells me that the frontal positions are probably running something like that. Possibly an occluded front going all the way back towards Yuma and San Diego. But it looks like there is a lot of weather focused in northwestern Mexico. And the big problem, of course, is this data void down in that area. How can we fill that in? Model data. Yeah, that's definitely very good. We can go through. We can see a good thickness gradient there in northwest Mexico. There's the cold core low. And we would expect to see the fronts looking like this. So it appears New Mexico and Texas is going to be seeing a change in the weather in the next 12 to 18 hours. In Texas proper, that warm front has lifted northward. Now, if you take a look at the official WPC analysis, it's a little bit confusing, and I strongly disagree with this presentation. So I actually trust my analysis a lot more, and I think as you do this, you'll kind of feel the same way. This is definitely what's happening. I'm 100% sure of this analysis. Warm front in southern Oklahoma, dividing these low 70s from these low to mid 60s in northern Oklahoma. That's an air mass contrast there. Same thing from Monroe, Louisiana to Clinton, Arkansas. Definite air mass contrast. And this feature up to the north, that's an inverted trough. That's probably a change in the slope of the front, maybe transitioning to much deeper or denser air up in Nebraska and Iowa. There's the picture in the northwest U.S. Very strong Canadian cold air mass coming out of Saskatchewan and Manitoba into the Dakotas, and that's given us a very strong northerly flow in the northern plains, and it's pushing that polar front against the front range of the Rockies right there. I don't know, is that called the front range in Montana? I'm going to have to look that up. Looks like mild conditions in the Pacific Northwest. Kind of a fair day there, a little bit of clouds in the Portland area. There's the southeast U.S. The Gulf is definitely open for business everywhere. Got that onshore flow with lots of mid and upper 60s dew points. If we had troughing in Texas, I think we would be seeing severe weather in that part of the country. But we've got kind of a flat ridge covering that area as far as from what I recall. Warm front in the Atlanta area coming up on Memphis, and so that's just going to bring more of the warm air northward. And there's conditions in the northeast U.S. High pressure covering much of New York, Ontario, Quebec. Kind of a nice day there, but the weather's going downhill in the Midwest. Large area of clouds and rain in Illinois, Indiana, back towards Kansas, and we're going to see the warm air advection pattern starting to build in this area. Now, there is a detail on the water vapor imagery that's kind of interesting. See that very well-defined comma cloud? We would immediately be thinking, well, subsidence in Missouri, large shield of clouds across Indiana and the Great Lakes. We would be thinking about a frontal system like that. It's a very classic appearance. But if we go back to that surface chart, where is it? Not seeing it at all. Well, we see a little bit of a closed circulation, almost closed circulation there in northern Missouri, but it's very weak. But there's no frontal system. Now, there is a thermal gradient there, and with that close circulation, I think maybe there could be a case for a weak low-pressure system there. Do we have support in the upper levels? Sure, I would say we've got support. There's our 850 millibar temperature. Definitely showing a closed circulation there in northeast Missouri. And if we look at the color, the isotherm field, yeah, I would say there's kind of a upper level frontal system in that area. 700 millibars. At that level, it seems the low pressure area kind of opens up, but we can pick it out in that same region. And the isotherm field, yeah, we can pick up a 700 millibar frontal system right in that same area. So if I was in Indiana, Ohio, southern Michigan, I would kind of pay attention to this little fast-moving area of frontogenesis and mostly 850 millibar development that could really send your weather downhill. So for tonight, this is what I'm seeing as far as the frontal locations. There goes our Illinois. There goes our Midwest system there into Ohio, bringing a ramp up in rain showers to that area. We've also got the warm front in Oklahoma lifting northward, but it's dry. And the system coming out of the Pacific, just south of Douglas, Arizona, starting to move up into southern New Mexico. I thought it would be a good idea to just advance this up 12 hours because everything is fast moving. We don't want to lose the details. The Pacific system that emerges into West Texas, there it is right there. And the warm front up in the Central Plains lifts up into the Omaha and St. Louis area. New shot of cold air coming down into Wyoming. And that's going to come into the backside of that low pressure system there in Colorado. And we're going to really see that Central Plains system come together rapidly during the day tomorrow. There's the picture tomorrow night. Massive pressure falls in Kansas, and that really organizes the frontal system in that area. Back behind it, wintry weather all the way from northwestern Iowa into the Grand Island, North Platte, and Denver area. We're seeing some frontogenesis on that Texas Pacific front. Looks like downslope flow and maybe some mixing from the upper levels, kind of helping it to lose definition. And it may be kind of merged a little bit with a dry line in that area. Yeah, we definitely want to take a look at whether we have a dry line. Well, first of all, we can see the cold front there coming down through West Kansas and Colorado. That's pretty evident there. But the dry line itself, 68 dew points in Dallas versus 43 in Abilene, 60 at Oklahoma City. Yeah, we've got that dry line pretty much like that. So Salina, Wichita, Oklahoma City, down to Fort Worth, and then down to Del Rio. So we'll just superimpose that on the chart for tomorrow night. You're never going to see the dry line show up very well in your basic pressure fields, so this is the way you got to do it. That could give us an idea where there could be convection tomorrow. So why aren't we seeing convection? Let's check it out. Let's put a dot there over Fort Worth Decatur, see if there's any capping. So there's the situation we got. The main thing I'm seeing is the lapse rates are not very steep, so we're not getting very high instability. And there is a little bit of capping there. It's very broad, but it's definitely there, so that might suppress some of the development a little bit, but it's not really too strong. So tomorrow I would be thinking of going to the high-resolution rapid refresh model and see what it breaks out for precip during the evening. As far as shear, yeah, there is definitely some shear. 0 through 6 kilometer bulk shear is about 60 to 70 knots. So storms are going to be very well ventilated. And it does look like we got some 0 through 1 kilometer shear. The main problem is that it's not perpendicular to the mean winds. So what I'm talking about is if we draw a line from 0 through 1 kilometer like that, see how that's oriented kind of left to right? And then we look at the thunderstorm motion vector. It's going to be in this area. Well, that's not a good configuration for storm relative helicity. We want that 0 through 1 kilometer line broadside to the storm motion vector. That way we can maximize our SRH. And the reason our SRH is so crappy, any guesses? The 1 kilometer winds, not very strong. We're missing the low-level jet. See right down here? Winds are only about 10 to 20 knots just off the surface, which means your 1 kilometer motion vector is down here instead of way up here. See, we would want kind of more of a hook shape like that. And if we could do that, then we take our storm motion vector and we would sweep out a large 0 through 1 kilometer helicity. But we don't have that. So I'm not going to be looking for a chase day in that part of Texas. And just to bear that out, we can go to the 850 millibar chart. This is tomorrow night. The better winds are up north in Oklahoma and Kansas. Down in Fort Worth, not very much at all. And we really need to be looking at the 925 millibar chart. It's like pulling teeth trying to get one of those charts. Nobody wants to offer it. So we have to use 850, which is a little bit too high to sample the 0 through 1 kilometer helicity. So I don't know. I think about all you can do is look at the forecast soundings. This is along the Kansas-Oklahoma border. Yeah, very strong 0 through 1 kilometer helicity right there. So now we've got that strong 0 through 1 kilometer helicity. It sweeps out a large area. The algorithmic hazard type is going for tornado. And there we can see that stronger 925 millibar flow. It does look like the WRF doesn't want to break out any precip there in Kansas, though. And the main problem is this capping right there. So you go south, there's less capping, the winds are worse. You go north, there's more capping, but the winds are better. So it's kind of that's quite the dilemma if you're going to be out chasing. But I would not totally rule this out because things could change, and I still think this time of year it's possible to get some storms going along that dry line. And if so, there may be some risk there, maybe between Wichita, Ponca City, maybe a little east of there. But we know the storms are going to be fast-moving, tracking to the northeast at 40 to 50 knots. So that's going to be quite the challenge for any chasers out tomorrow. Then for Friday, we get a lot of clearing. Cold front moves into the southern U.S. 1040 millibar high comes in from the Dakotas. We still hang on to this thickness gradient down south of San Diego. So we always got to watch for that in case something happens. For Saturday, more stagnant weather over the weekend. It's going to look kind of cloudy, kind of drizzly and rainy in Texas. That's very common when we get these big Great Lakes highs. We drive that northeasterly flow into the plains, so we get clouds in Texas and then upslope in the Central Plains. For Sunday, looks like a cold core system approaches the California coast there. Maybe a very weak surface system south of that. Looks like maybe we're finally starting to lift the warm front northward. I don't know, maybe something like that there for Sunday night. And then by Monday, we're definitely in a warm air advection pattern. That's got to be the warm front right there coming up on Lufkin, Waco, Abilene. Little departing system off the Carolinas. And kind of unsettled there in California. Looks like maybe an upper level or mid-level low crossing that region. And then for Tuesday, we're really building up this thickness gradient. Looks unsettled along the west coast there. And Shannon relayed this to me just a few minutes ago. Comment from Jason Minter. what you're doing with this project is the kind of content the internet should be. Jason, I appreciate it. That support means a lot. Thank you. So that's about all I got for tonight. I appreciate y'all watching. I don't want to turn this into a webcast about coronavirus, but I feel very strongly that this is going to be a very bad situation here in about a week. I want you all to be safe and come back for these webcasts, so please follow your precautions. It is cheap insurance. There's no stigma in taking a few extra precautions, so please do that. As far as the schedule, I'm trying to figure out what to do because these productions take up a few hours each day. If you can send Patreon support, it would be very much appreciated. That'll help me prioritize my time on the videos. But I've also got the software and books to worry about. There's just not enough hours in the day, but we're trying our best here. Worst case, we may be off for a couple days and come back on the weekend. But I think with this really active weather system tomorrow, I think we're going to stick around and be here for that. And then maybe for Friday, we'll take a break and see how things go. Anyway, thank you all for joining, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.